know if I can go, I want to apply to MIT, but then I was also thinking about maybe applying to Yale. Do you think, which one's the better choice?
Summer. Listen, that's all really good, but me and Morty are working on a device where I can inject 120 cc's of feces into his knees.
Okay, all right.
All right, that's good enough for me. Let's start!
It's going septic! Welcome to Cordkillers, our mission to report the intel from the front lines of the cord-cutting revolution so you, my friends, know how to watch what you want, when you want, where you want, on whatever device you want. I'm Tom Merritt, and Brian Brushwood. Is it still as weird to you to see Rick's voice come out of Justin Roiland's mouth?
It really is. In fact, it got less weird when we saw them live at the Draft House premiere the couple of previews from the second season of Rick and Morty. It's like, in your mind that Justin does both Rick and Morty, but then like when you see it, it's like a magic ventriloquism act, right?
Yeah. You're like, okay, where's Rick? He's got to be behind him somewhere, right?
Yeah, right?
Yeah. And then when he switches to Morty, too, it's like, no, they're playing that off of a recording. It's crazy. Well, that was an improvised Rick and Morty episode. It's like 4 minutes long.
Sure. If you look at vulture.com, they've got it. I assume that happened out at San Diego Comic-Con, but they just sort of improvised a whole episode. It got increasingly ridiculous and hilarious. It started with 120 cc's of feces in Dee's knees, and it only got more ridiculous from there.
And they never let go of that bit, though. That was the through line.
Yeah. Oh, of course. No. I mean, look, they knew gold when they'd struck a vein of that chocolate rain.
Hey, everybody. Look over there. It's our primary target.
What? Oh, I see it now.
Yeah, so crazy things happen in Hulu land. First of all, last week, as we had talked about might happen, Time Warner announced, yes, it is buying a 10% stake in Hulu. So Disney, 21st Century Fox, and their silent partner Comcast, Silent Com, as I call them, all now own 30%, and Time Warner gets 10%. This is not Time Warner Cable. Don't be confused. It's the Time Warner that owns Turner Networks and HBO. In fact, Turner Networks is going to come to the Hulu streaming service that is coming in 2017. That streaming service is not under wraps. It's not a rumor. They haven't announced any details, but they're like, yeah, we're working on that. Turner Networks are going to be a part of it. Time Warner paid $583 million. If you care about the keep and score, that means Hulu is valued at around $6 billion. Time Warner is not going to bring their shows to Hulu, though. Don't forget, they own HBO Now. They own Drama Fever, which is collecting content from overseas companies in 12 non-English countries. They own Filmstruck, which is launching in the fall. That will be the Criterion Collection, which Hulu just lost to Filmstruck. Filmstruck's getting the Criterion Collection and other indie films. And they have deals with Netflix and Amazon Prime, which, okay, ABC and Comcast do too. This would be weird enough for the primary target right here, Brian. But Let's add that today, Hulu announced that it is phasing out its free ad-supported version of the service, which you could pretty much only watch on the web. And it didn't have everything that was available in the paid-for service. That's going away. You're going to have to pay for Hulu or not watch any Hulu at all. But Yahoo is launching something at view.yahoo.com called Yahoo View, which will distribute shows from Hulu for free, including the five most recent eps from ABC, NBC, and Fox, 8 days after they air, plus other network shows, clips, and, oh, look at that, full seasons of anime and Korean drama.
Okay, all right, man, lot to parse here. First of all,
got going on.
Would you have placed Hulu's value at $6 billion? This seems a little high, right?
I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, what's in a name? What's a number? Like, what do you compare it to Netflix? It seems low, but then when you just sit it there and like, okay, Instagram was bought for $1 billion. Is Hulu worth more than Instagram was when Facebook bought it?
6 times.
That doesn't sound right.
No, I think it is. I don't know. Okay, so pause on that. But second of all, this is something that I think should have happened a long time ago, right? Hulu needed to make up its mind. And unfortunately, I feel like it made up its mind 4 years too late. I feel like they're in a distant third now. They were the number 2 option behind Netflix, and now they are a distant third behind Amazon Prime, largely because they missed out. I mean, when you think of Hulu originals, what do you think of? You got what was the one with the Grim Reaper guy?
Deadbeat?
Deadbeat.
You got 11/22/63.
Yep.
You got
Difficult
Path.
Yeah, soft titles, all of them, right? And
I mean, some of them have some pretty cult followings, but none of them are House of Cards.
Right, but none of them is a blue chip mega brand. The way that that, to be honest, even Transparent and Man in the High Castle have become over on the Amazon side of things. So it's good that they're getting clarity, and I assume that the paid subscription means no ads for anyone. Like they're just doing away with a hybrid pay, but you still get ads.
Yeah, no, they didn't say anything about changing the other tiers. So it'll still be there's a tier you pay and you get ads, and there's a tier you pay and you don't get ads. That hasn't changed as far as we know.
I mean, if that satisfies whatever bizarre existing agreement deals they have, then I understand they have to put up with that. That's their albatross. But I think that this is their future, is that they need to be an ad-free, paid for. They need to think in terms of old school cable, a premium channel. They are a premium content provider. I assume they'll still be able to get like next day airings or right up to the minute.
I don't know. They're losing CW. I would assume that ABC and NBC and Fox will continue this. They're not going to get any of Time Warner show, which also is not a change. I'll be interested to see if that changes, especially once they launch the Hulu Live. My guess is they won't change too much if they don't have to until they launch their live streaming service, their competitor to Sling TV. Once that happens, I think that's what Hulu's trying to do. I think you're absolutely right that they're trying to catch up with Netflix and Amazon and say we're a place of library shows and original content and awesome stuff. And then they're also going to provide that live streaming service to get away from being a catch-up service, which is what their owners don't like. Their owners don't like Hulu being seen as a thing you can use to replace cable TV. They don't like being a catch-up service. So that's going to be the live services. Like if we don't want to replace cable TV, let's be cable TV.
Well, that's the problem, right? Is I understand, yes, all the reasons you don't want to be known as the catch-up service, all the reasons that, it's inconvenient.
I mean, it's not being known, right? It's like they don't want to be the catch-up service because they feel like that's undercutting their revenue model from cable television.
Yes, and all of that's correct. And yet, that's what it is. That's all it is. It is a replacement for cable. It is a catch-up service. And the harder they fight against that, I don't know. It's the less optimistic I am.
Okay, so the question becomes, if they replace being a catch-up service with being PlayStation View, right? Which is essentially like, hey, you can catch up. We've got on-demand, we've got a cloud DVR, and we've got live shows. Does that make Hulu better or worse?
No, it makes it worse because now not only do they have to fight to jockey in an emerging space, but they have to fight late in the game and fight against an active brand that they spent 8 years building to mean one particular thing, and they have to keep shouting, no, we don't mean that anymore. Now we mean this other thing. Oh, wait, like Sling TV? Yeah, like Sling TV, only we're better because we're Hulu. Wait, does any of your past experience have anything to do with anything? No, it doesn't. But you know the name Hulu, so why don't you take us instead of Sling?
I don't know. I feel like they can spin that because, first of all, Sling TV is not burning it up with subscribers. So it's not like they have to play catch up in that space. They're ahead of the game in that space, even if they launch in 2017. I think that they can make it be like, hey, Hulu's always been the place you go when you don't want a cable subscription and you want to watch stuff. So now we are just adding even more stuff. Want to watch stuff all the time whenever you want? Sign up for Hulu Live or whatever they call it for $20 a month, and you get everything. And their big scores will be, we have CBS, we have Turner, we have all of these things that you never got on the regular Hulu, and we have them live on demand whenever you want.
That works in theory, but unfortunately, that scenario ignores the fact that they've already pushed the no, we mean this button 4 times in the past. But
I'm saying you can say that this is the same button. It's just giving you more.
As long as you keep shouting, don't look at that free service sitting in the coffin. Like, stop looking over there.
Okay, that's the good question. How many people are going to get pissed off about losing the free service? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
They're not going to get pissed off. They're just not going to use it. It's like, because now
what does Hulu lose?
They lose all their momentum, because here's the thing. If let's say there's some contingency that enjoys watching stuff for free. Then all of a sudden, now it's paid only. Let's say they're even along for the ride. They're like, okay, now I'm going to pay. If you're going to make that leap of being a free person to a paying person, you're not going to do it with Hulu just because Hulu happens to be who you used back when it was free. You're going to say, well, apparently now I have to be a paying person. You're going to look at the landscape and you're probably not going to pick Hulu.
See, I look at it and I assume most Hulu viewers are pay people. You're absolutely right. If they have a big chunk that are free,
I think
and that's
the
what I
vast
don't know. Is
majority
how many are free, how many are paid.
I don't know why I think this, but I just assume that the vast majority are free. Like a real quick poll for those of you guys in the chat room who watch Hulu. Do you watch it? Are you a paid member or are you a free watcher?
Well, and I think this goes back to you watch things on your laptop, which is like, why would I ever pay for Hulu? I'm watching Hulu on my laptop.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas most people, I think, are watching them on devices like mobile devices or set-top box devices.
Yeah, well, and I guess that means our results will be skewed too, because if they're in an IRC
because we're asking
client
people who
right
are
now,
watching a live stream in the
that's,
website.
that's right. They're probably watching on laptops and so on. That's a good point.
It's tilting towards free, but it's not entirely free. I don't know. That's an interesting one. I don't know if they break out those numbers yet either, so we'd have to do some digging.
Let's talk about the expansion on this Yahoo View situation.
That's where it gets real weird, doesn't it?
Right? Well, and plus, like, Yahoo spent a crap ton of money to get Community because they were going to become the next network, and then it just sort of, I don't know, sat there. I don't know if it was a victim of poor promotion or difficulty getting audiences to come over with them, but they had a blue chip, top tier, well-beloved property, and it wasn't able to attract the viewers. What makes us think that Yahoo that taking the free service that obviously was so unimportant to Hulu that they dropped it? What makes us think that that's going to be the silver bullet that saves Yahoo View?
I have no idea. Like, why do you? Okay, you may not have succeeded, but you tried to brand like, hey, we've got this Yahoo app, and this is the place where you can get all these great shows. And they had a couple other originals besides Community that people who watched them said were great, but no one wanted to go to the effort to go find that app. And so it didn't succeed. Now you give us a different service with a different name and a different source of content. And my first question is, where's Community? Can I watch Community on here? But it says provided by Hulu. It says it in a way that makes me think they want to add other things here. Like they're thinking, oh, well, we'll aggregate. We'll not only just have Hulu, but we'll also add shows from other places. And they've got some Tumblr integration in there as well. It just doesn't hang together. Okay, so Community is in there.
It's listed as a show, but they only have 3 clips, so they don't even have the episodes that Hulu has.
They don't have the rights.
The
They
first
talked to Hulu
seasons.
or to Yahoo about getting the rights for it. So, yeah, it's just weird. It's just weird. I don't know what it is, and I don't know why I would want to use it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What other cleanup do we have to do here? The Time Warner thing, is that significant at all? I mean, are we thinking I don't doubt that there's some kind of like, oh, well, this is synergy. It makes sense. Let's take our thing and put it over on your thing and all that. I just don't know what Time Warner is really buying. Has Hulu been wildly profitable when we weren't looking?
I mean, they're buying into a service that they don't have to build. Like, granted, Hulu is the distant third. You're not wrong, but they have momentum and they have a big audience, and they have 3 big networks behind them. So it's not a bad bet, especially at 10%, to say, you know what? Instead of we're rolling a lot of stuff ourselves over here, HBO Now and Filmstruck, et cetera, but let's get in on this action as another outlet for our programming. And I don't think it's a bad idea for a studio to say, you know what? The future is making programs and selling them directly to the public through the web. So let's be part of that. Let's own a part of that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I gave up trying to understand Time Warner a long time ago, but you know who I do understand?
Who is that, Brian?
Our boss. Well,
yeah. Which one?
I understand. Hold on, let me spin the wheel of bosses here. It's my new favorite game.
I mean, because when you talk about our boss, you're talking about the fact that we don't just have the one boss. We have the 1,850 bosses.
1,850, nearly 2,000 bosses. We must be the only employees on the planet who actively want more bosses.
Yes, please, more of you join their overlordship.
Yeah,
we will listen to you in aggregate.
Why don't you guys be like Brad Richwine, our latest boss? He just joined the team. He's telling us what to do. Thank you so much, Brad. You guys, all of you, we just need, 150 more bosses?
Yeah. So listen, you're the greatest boss in the world. One of these days we'll get you a mug that says it.
Yeah, go to patreon.com/Cordkillers.
Let's check into Signal's intelligence. So, by all accounts, YouTube Red is a failure. Nobody's watching it. Nobody cares that you pay for it and you get rid of commercials. Nobody talks about it. Disclaimer, my wife works for YouTube, so maybe I'm biased when I say that. YouTube Kids, on the other hand, is something I hear smatterings about from parents from time to time. But the one thing that YouTube Red might be good for, which is getting rid of ads, was not available on YouTube Kids. Even if you were a YouTube Red subscriber, you still got ads on YouTube Kids when you use the YouTube Kids app, so they fixed that. If you upgrade to YouTube Red, which is still $10 a month, it will now remove the ads from the YouTube Kids videos on your YouTube Kids app.
I'm against it.
You also get the ability to save videos for offline viewing. Does that change your answer, Brian?
No. What I mean is YouTube Red, that's their pornography client, right? I don't want my kids on. Oh, no?
No, that's RedTube. Totally different company.
Well,
yeah.
then that, whoever named YouTube Red, that's a terrible name then.
It's an awful, awful name.
What were they thinking? It's funny, too, to see them really try to wedge the importance of YouTube Red, because if you look at the analytics, you log into the Scam School channel or whatever, and it's just the second column, as if it's super important, is this is how many YouTube Red minutes you had this month. And I was like, cool, I guess. I don't know.
What's funny is on Daily Tech News Show, that number's really good.
Oh, really?
And so I was living in this little fog for a while of YouTube, I don't know why people are so down on YouTube Red. I'm getting loads of minutes out of this because Daily Tech News Show's videos on YouTube are about an hour long every day, right?
Right.
And I guess there were enough YouTube Red subscribers that mattered. I looked at my own channel, Ace Detect, and suddenly I'm like, oh, where I'm doing more normal length videos for YouTube.
Right.
And I'm like, I get it now.
Yeah. So, regardless, to me, if we're going to look at the positive here, I love the fact that the YouTube Kids is getting love. I love the fact that they're growing that. I'm still really, really confused, considering how much of the content on YouTube Kids is clearly pirated content posted without the permission of the content owners. Viacom, Bill Nye the Science Guy, all this stuff is on there, and yet it's also curated by presumably a community of some sorts. And from what I hear, it's pretty good. You don't run across any curse words. You don't get any one of those, Thomas the Tank Engine has sex with Dora the Explorer, those things that
you don't find those unless you mean to, and not on YouTube Kids.
Correct. I would love a peek behind the curtain on how that stuff works.
Well, the two things could be going on, and I don't know anything about how they are going on. One thing could be that those clearly pirated videos are actually claimed, because Content ID, we know, can work too well sometimes.
Sure.
So it may be that Viacom is just yeah, that's fine.
But then they would monetize them, wouldn't they?
They can, or they might not. They might be yeah, that's fine. We'll just claim them and they can't monetize them, so it's fine. And the other thing is, it's not really an or, but if you have a curation team whose sole purpose is to look for kids' videos, Safe Harbor almost dictates that you shouldn't have that team looking for copyright violations.
Well, okay, so that's my question: is that kosher to say yes? The team looks for age appropriateness. No, they don't look for copyright.
Because you can run a platform and say, okay, I'm going to put all of the comments about dogs in a dog category and all the comments about cats in a cat category. And if someone says, hey, you're posting copyright infringement there, and because you separate dog and cat posts from each other, you're at fault. That's not the way it works.
Got it. No. Well, if that's the case, that makes a lot more sense. Well, regardless, who knows? Maybe I'll let my 3-year-old actually onto YouTube finally.
It's only $120 a year to keep the ads away from her.
Don't say that. I was this close to really considering it, and then I'm like, really?
Yeah. Or she can watch ads. That's the other way she could do it. Shall we gear up then? Why not?
I think we should.
So Recode has some sources. Recode is pretty good with the sources that say Apple is talking to TV programmers and other video companies about creating a digital TV guide. The idea would be, and they announced at WWDC that they'll do a single sign-in for cable companies. So you subscribe to Comcast, you can go to your Apple TV, sign in with your Comcast ID, and then you don't have to sign into every single app after that. Any app that works with Comcast would just take from that single sign-in. So this is the next step. They would then surface programming without opening the app and access it with one click. So with the Apple TV, obviously the dream scenario is you say, I would like to watch the Giants game. And suddenly it just goes, oh, well, you have the Fox Sports app and you're logged in with single sign into Comcast. And so you're authenticated. And so we just launched the game. Boom. Don't have to open an app. Don't have to sign in. Don't have to do nothing. TV executives are listening, according to Recode, but they're worried it would reduce their ability to promote shows. And the studios don't want to irk the cable providers who monetize their guides. And it's always this balance of, well, we'd like to move into the new way, but we don't want to undermine our relationship with the old way quite yet.
Yeah. So is this the whimpering death of the Apple TV dream? Is that it just becomes yet another aggregator, yet another Sling TV competitor over the top service? But it's not even that, because it's presuming that you have a Comcast account or a Time Warner account so that it can authenticate. Now, keep in mind, having said that, this might be in every way what I actually want, is a guide that makes sense and just understands, it gets me and knows to serve up the right programming. And so maybe it's not a bad thing. But I mean, is there any chance of the Apple TV that we've heard heralded for half a decade happening at this point?
Yeah, man, I don't know. It sounds like they've just given up. And we've heard other stories kind of indicating that they're like, you know what? We can't get the studios on board to do it the way we want, at the terms that we want. So we're just not going to do it. And this would be the next best thing. We've worked up this amazing interface, which Apple's very good at. So we think we could use it for this, and we just won't provide the streaming service. We'll make it available for other streaming services to log into, which they already do, right? They already work with loads of these networks to authenticate apps through cable companies. The question is, will the cable companies play along, right? I mean, Apple wants to take away two things the cable companies make money off of: the relationship with the customers and the program guide. And so suddenly the cable companies are not going to be so excited about allowing authentication for apps that work on the Apple TV. And it used to be worse, but remember the days when, hey, HBO Go is available. Oh, unless you're on DirecTV, it doesn't work with that company yet. Like, that could start happening again.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess I'm going to say yay in that we at least have another player in this space. Boo in that it doesn't sound like a earth-shattering, groundbreaking, disruptive force, which is what I'm, secretly rooting for.
Yeah, what would be amazing is if this made Strange Bedfellows out of Sony and Apple, right? PlayStation Vue has been the best of the non-cable entities at getting sign-in authorization. You can sign in. I've been signing into the NBC Olympics app with my PlayStation Vue account. Like, they're able to cut these things, and they don't really care. Their guide is not for pay. Their guide is for the consumer. And in fact, their guide is changing whether they're on the Roku or somewhere else. The one place they're not yet is on the Apple TV. But maybe with Apple giving up the idea of replacing PlayStation Vue, they might be able to work a deal and say, hey, PlayStation Vue would be the perfect service for the Apple TV now with this single sign-in situation.
Yeah, although, again, it's like I would prefer to see more players rather than consolidation. It's like Bedfellows is good Game of Thrones drama, but not necessarily what I want to see as a consumer.
All right, well, but remember, Apple's getting out of the game, right? So they're not a competitor. They're not consolidating. They're saying, we'd like a platform. It's a platform that Comcast and Time Warner might not like, but hey, PlayStation Vue, you don't make money the same way they do, so bring it on in over here. And then maybe Sling TV says, oh, well, yeah, we're the same. And then maybe Hulu says, oh, we've got a live TV service that's the same as well, and we're not run by the cable companies. In fact, the only cable company that owns us has to stay silent. We're run by the studios. So yeah, we'll play in that ballpark too.
All right. You're pulling me in. I'm getting excited. I can see this working.
Yeah, it's just in the Apple universe, so things never seem to work as wide open.
Agreed. But you know what is wide open?
What's that?
your
wide open, Brian?
opportunity to have a drink with us with our upcoming Rogues Toast. Look, man, you can support me and Tom a couple different ways. You, of course, can go over to patreon.com/Cordkillers, or you can buy some stuff. Tom writes books. I try to sell you beer. So here's the thing, Tom. It turns out if we had the best beer in the world, it's complicated to sell beer over the internet.
Yeah.
You can only send it to certain places. You got to have a distributor. You can't just make stuff yourself. So it seems like a clever person would figure out a workaround like, I don't know, selling a premium home brew kit with a recipe and ingredients to make a custom batch of beer.
You're not selling beer. You're selling ingredients.
I'm selling
You're
hop
selling
barley,
glass.
hops, yeast, and instructions, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Your friend of mine, Michael Lipton, a.k.a. Tall Beer Dude, we talked about what a perfect Rogues brew, what a Rogues ale would taste like. And we came up with an American brown ale that has just a little bit of a kick at the end. It's something that you can drink today and it tastes fantastic. But more importantly, you can imagine drinking it in an old tavern 300 years ago. It seems timeless and it's fantastic. So the plan is, if you head on over to scamstuff.com, that's gear for the modern rogue, you can see the Rogues Brew Kit for $99.99. It's everything you need. It comes with bottles. By the way, for the record, we're making like virtually no money on this. We're essentially selling all these materials at cost just because we love the idea of people, becoming a brewer along with us trying this stuff. And by the way, look at how tall Michael Lipton is. Can you believe that?
He is a tall beer dude.
He's a tall beer dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what you do is you order it now, and then it takes 3 weeks to brew. So if you order today, you should get it sometime this week, and then we'll all be able to, this Friday, mix our brew, and then right over Labor Day weekend, we could celebrate having a Rogues pint.
Oh, that's fantastic. And a bunch of those parts would be reusable in the future as well,
no,
right?
All of them.
Yeah.
It's a functional kit. The only thing you'll need to buy more of is ingredients. And
the
so,
yeast, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So once it's over, you now have a fully functional home brew kit. So we're going to keep on coming out with like experiments where it's like, hey, here's the new batch. We're all going to do a Hefeweizen because it's spring or whatever.
Yeah. Diamond Weissen. Can't wait.
Diamond Weizen. All right, stop. You're killing me. You're killing me.
Let's get on to the front lines then. I'm killing you. Might as well send you to the front lines. NBC Universal has signed a deal with Warner Brothers Studios, giving NBC networks exclusive on-air and digital rights to the Wizarding World properties. That's things like Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and for now, mostly Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, but there's more coming. They also get cable TV rights to all the Harry Potter movies 1 through 8. The agreement runs from 2018 to 2025, and it also gives Universal theme parks the rights to exclusive content and events.
Yeah, so I think
NBC Universal locking up Harry Potter.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, I know that I don't think I'm talking out of class to say that NBC or Universal Orlando pretty happy with the Harry Potter franchise, pretty happy for what it's doing for the theme parks and all that. So it makes sense. To me, the intriguing part is what this implies about, in this Star Wars-like universe building as far as how many movies we can expect in the future set in this universe.
Yeah, the only downside is like NBC doesn't run a commercial-free movie service like CBS or Time Warner does. So you're when you see these on TV from now on, unless they sublicense them out, it's all going to be on Sci-Fi, USA Network with commercial breaks.
Interesting. ABC Entertainment President Channing Dungey was asked at the Television Critics Association press tour in Beverly Hills Thursday whether she wants a primetime series based on Star Wars. She said she is a fan and would love to say yes, saying that they have had conversations with Lucasfilm. Now, my question to you, Tom, is that, I mean, what a loaded question.
What is he supposed to say? Nah.
Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, and of course, like, does this mean anything? Because when nothing comes to pass, then all she has to say is like, oh, we just didn't, nothing materialized that was quite right for the brand.
I think what got people so excited is that there were all those rumors about a live action TV show before Lucasfilm was sold to Disney. And then they kind of went away in the hoopla around episode 7 and the reboot and all of that. And now to have the president of ABC Entertainment on stage, not say like, yeah, of course, those are really interesting ideas. We're pursuing everything, giving a non. She said, yeah, I want to see that. We're having conversations. And everybody freaked out because she actually said, we are having conversations.
Yeah.
That definitely leaves a lot of doors open to like, oh, we had the conversations. and it's just not the right time.
Well, and again, it's like, to the surprise of no one, it turns out that she admitted that they're talking about the possibility of maybe eventually
it's
doing
almost
a
like
thing.
she was putting a little pressure on her counterparts over there at Lucasfilm. Like, come on, fans, let me hear you cheer.
Yeah.
Come on, Lucasfilm, you want to do this with us?
No, that sounds right to me.
Apple's reality show about app developers called Planet of the Apps, I'm not making that up, that's the actual name, has signed on Gwyneth Paltrow as a mentor for contestants. She'll join Gary Vaynerchuk and Will.i.am. If you don't know Paltrow, she's a mother of two, author of cookbooks, and founder of a fashion-focused startup called Goop.com.
Okay, I get that you need to have color commentary from 3 different archetypes to be your judges. You have to have the maternal one. You have to have...
It's like boy band dynamics, right?
You have to have the Pierce Morgan. You have to have the wild card with Will.i.am, right? I get it. But what experience do any of these have with apps? What app have any of them successfully launched?
They all have apps. I think what you're asking is, how much hand did they actually have in their apps?
Yes, exactly. Right. I mean,
there's a Goop.com app. Will.i.am has done a ton of apps,
Sure.
and Gary Vaynerchuk has certainly been involved in apps.
Sure. These are strong brands, but they're brands famous for not apps.
I think Gwyneth Paltrow may be the most experienced of these 3. It's between her and Gary, because she actually and I avoided calling her an actor because that's what everybody knows her for.
Sure.
She has had a hand in this startup from the little that I understand about it. And so she may have actually sat down with developers and had a conversation. I'm not saying Will.i.am and Gary Vaynerchuk haven't, but these aren't coders, right? I mean, I think that's the real stumbling block.
Well, and maybe that's will yield wonderful fireworks, the likes we've never seen. Maybe it'll be like Top Chef, where it's like it's like you got personalities and you got people who are craftsmen, trying to do their craft.
Yeah, but even in Top Chef, you have Tom Colicchio, who is a top chef. Right?
Yeah.
Like, where is the coder in this bunch? It's a great question.
But what if maybe the coding is a commodity? What if this is all very high level designing on that end?
Then you got a bunch of here's what I'm thinking though, Bryce. You're absolutely right. Like Gwyneth Paltrow definitely understands the design of apps. Will.i.am probably does too. I know Gary Vaynerchuk does. But you're going to have developers going, yeah, but you can't really code that
I guess.
way.
All right. So time out. I guess really this is my roadblock is I'm picturing them giving advice, and all 3 of them I see giving the same advice. If you want to launch a successful app, what you got to do is get real famous for something besides an app, and then you can launch a successful app. Hire a bunch of eggheads to make a thing that do your thing, and then you announce it on your billion Twitter followers, and then you got a successful app.
I know, and that's what pulls in the eyeballs, though. And I will say that all 3 of these people definitely have more experience than you might think.
Yes,
in design, in directing the design of an app.
Absolutely, I absolutely agree with that.
But there is no chef.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, you know what? Why don't you get the Flappy Bird guy? That guy knows how to launch an app.
He doesn't even want to talk to people.
I know. It's like they bring him on. They have him in a cage. they rattle the cage. You're like, you get food when you give advice.
Oh, he's got a door that he goes in and shuts. And he's like, no, I never wanted to do any of this.
He's just like, get the Crossy Road guy. Why did you have to go with that?
Hey, man, UK's Sky pay TV providers teaming up with Amazon for a 10-part drama called Brittania, written by Jez Butterworth of Spectre / Black Mass / Edge of Tomorrow fame. It'll take place in 43 AD and air on Sky One in the UK and Ireland and Amazon Prime in the US. This sounds awesome.
I love this. I'm a huge nerd about pre-Roman and Roman Britain. So they're like, it's like it was made just for like the audience of 2 or 3 that I am among. And it's got a great pedigree behind it. This is one of those times when usually it's going to be on CBS All Access in the US and Netflix everywhere else. And I'm jealous. I'm glad we're on the Amazon side of this. I can't wait to see this.
Yeah, heck yeah, man.
And finally, Sling TV is getting NFL Network and NFL Red Zone. Remember, we mentioned PlayStation Vue is getting it. Sling TV is getting it as well in time for the 2016 season. That's all they have to announce, though. They didn't announce what package it goes into or what the pricing will be. Let's move on to what's under surveillance. All about the things you watch. HBO is going to start a nightly news show called Vice News Tonight, beginning on September 26th at 7:30 p.m. ET. That's Eastern time. It is Vice News because they're going after young people. It's at 7:30 p.m. because young people work later hours. It's going to be on demand because young people want on demand. Do they want nightly news, Brian?
That's the one part that doesn't make any sense. This daily ritual of sitting down, bellying up to your computer and, reading the daily news. I just don't see it as a regular thing. It's like these are folks who are busy getting their news, up to the minute from Twitter and Reddit and all this self-curated stuff. And I think Vice does a really good job of presenting stories with a depth and from the perspective, more millennial perspective. But it's as though 60 Minutes announced it was going to, this is for old people, it's as though 60 Minutes announced finally they were going to have twice a day programming. And it's like, well, that's not 60 Minutes. What are you doing? I don't get it.
Oh, remember when 60 Minutes did a twice a week? They did that for a while. I don't know if you remember that. They did like a Wednesday edition of 60 Minutes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Didn't go well, did it?
No, I don't think it's still around.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll give Vice absolute credit for is they're saying, we're not going to do a typical newscast. We want to do stories that get people's attention, that tell them things that they are interested in and need to know about. So maybe they can pull it off. Maybe they can make a generation care about nightly news again by telling the right stories.
Get ready for the reincarnation of BuzzFeed. That's what they're going to get. They're going to get BuzzFeed. It's going to be BuzzFeed.
Which BuzzFeed, though? The BuzzFeed that does long, in-depth stories or the BuzzFeed that tells you 5 things you won't believe
Get
about
ready for listicles. I mean, the problem is we already have a beloved nightly news show, and it's called The Daily Show or Jon Stewart's show.
Speaking of Jon Stewart, who is no longer at The Daily Show, but is at HBO, and you've been wondering, what the heck is he going to do? He's going to do an animated parody of cable news. He's running HBO's animation department now. The bits will premiere sometime in September or October. The fact that he doesn't have to be on camera means that they can churn these things out on a more flexible schedule, it sounds like.
Oh, dude. If you have won the game of television as hard as Jon Stewart has, this is a great way for him to have his presence out there and yet not have it eat his soul anymore. Shows up whenever, whatever, just runs his mouth off, knows somebody else, doesn't have to worry about how he looks, doesn't have to worry about shaving that beard, working out, buying clothes.
Wearing a suit coat. Nothing.
Sounds like a dream come true, man. This is the best gig for him.
Right. No, and this is really what Vice News Tonight. Now, they're both on HBO, which is really the interesting point. But this is more what I think Vice News Tonight wants to be.
Yes.
Let me pull back and say this is not Vice News Tonight doesn't want to be an animated comedy thing about news. Vice News Tonight wants to do something that will get younger viewers to pay attention to news on HBO. I don't know that Vice News Tonight will do that. I think that Jon Stewart's parody animations will.
Agreed.
Tig Notaro's semi-autobiographical show One Mississippi debuts September 9th on Amazon. And in fact, Amazon announced a bunch of things that are debuting in the next couple months. BBC show Fleabag, based on Phoebe Waller-Bridge's play of the same name, comes September 16th. Transparent is coming back September 23rd. They have a new trailer introducing season 3, so it's coming back a little faster than it did last time. Woody Allen's Amazon series Crisis in 6 Scenes arrives on September 30th, and Billy Bob Thornton stars in Goliath. That arrives on October 14th. Finally, Good Girls Revolt arrives October 28th.
Right on.
Norway's Slow TV is coming to Netflix, Brian. Do you know Slow TV?
I know the pitch on it, and it's so surreal that I have to believe it's going to work. In a world where ASMR is taking off, why not 7.5 hour long programs that feature nothing but a train driving along a couple of tracks?
100 Hours of Chess? That's an episode. The National Firewood Evening, where people get very excited. When is the next log going on? I mean, it's a little like our Yule log streams during Christmas, but this is not during Christmas, and it's also...
here's what's amazing.
It's a public television show. This was on public television in Norway.
Oh wait, it was?
Yeah.
Wow. I think about it. It's kind of a brilliant pitch where it's like, hey, do you want that TV on while people are doing work, surfing on computers or whatever? Then guess what? You want to be interesting, but not so interesting it takes their full attention. If you're so interesting, you take their full attention, they're going to turn you off because they have to focus on this 3D animation that they're working on. But if they're just a little bit interesting, they'll keep the TV on the entire
Don't watch
time.
100 hours of chess.
Yeah, why
or
not?
A 7.5-hour train
Why not?
ride. Yeah, why not? All right, what have you been watching, my friend?
Dude, I have been out at DEF CON 24. You could probably hear how ragged out my voice is. It has been an intense 5 days, still running on like 3 hours of sleep, but I did manage to squeeze in latest Mr. Robot 205, Justified, Season 3, Episode 4, and for my selfish private time, I really enjoyed showing off. I introduced someone to Rick and Morty, and I've decided the 2 episodes that are the best to start people off is Something Wicked This Way Comes, from season 1, and from season 2, the one with the miniverse, the microverse.
Oh, yeah.
Keep Summer Safe, that one. Those are the best 2. They like you get it. You get the whole show. You don't need any of the backstory. It's perfect.
I also watching Mr. Robot Justified and finished up catching up with Angie Tribeca, which already has been approved for a 3rd season, so I'm looking forward to more dumb comedy from that. I've also been watching the Olympics and getting a lot of folks asking, how do I watch the Olympics as a cord cutter? Sure, you can VPN and you can get the free streams that are coming from, say, the BBC in the UK or in Australia. There's some free streams, etc. But here in the United States, what I'm doing is PlayStation View authenticates with NBC Olympics app, and I use that on the Roku, and it works great. And you can do that too. In fact, PlayStation View offers a 30-day free trial. Your other option would be a Sling TV account. That gets you some of the networks and the live streaming. It doesn't get you access to the NBC Olympics app, though. And the Gold Zone is the reason I bring this up. What I did on Saturday and Sunday morning is I just turned on the Gold Zone, and all they do is switch from one weird Olympic sport to another as significant things happen. And talk about your slow TV. I just have that on. And every once in a while I go, ooh, whitewater river rafting. That's interesting.
I mean, how weird is it when you say weird ones? Give me more examples.
I mean, like air rifle, the whitewater river rafting, which is a artificial course. They're not actually on a whitewater river.
Right. They're basically
and
like in a...
about how they have to, like... The red gates, they have to turn around and go back through. They can't just go downstream. They have to go upstream through those. Team handball.
This is awesome.
This is totally off topic. During the '84 Olympics that were in LA, I watched on TV and discovered team handball and thought it was the weirdest sport I'd ever seen. So my friend Mark Durgan and I went out on my driveway and spray painted the lines from team handball and tried to play some pickup team handball in our neighborhood. And he texted me this weekend and he said, hey, my son Edward just stopped dead when team handball came on TV and started watching it. And I thought of you.
That is amazing.
Bryce Castillo, what have you been on the lookout for?
Hey, I found this new documentary series on Netflix that I think everybody's really going to enjoy. It's called Last Chance U. This is a 6-part sports documentary series about the East Mississippi Community College. There it is on screen. And it is exactly what the title is. It is a small, formerly junior college, now community college in a town of like 700 people, where these college level athletes who have public image problems, academic problems, they go and basically try to rehab their entire athletic career, basically. When the documentary starts off, the team has won like the past 3 national championships in a row. They are 24-0 of their streak, basically. And so you follow this new class of kids as they come in, and there's an interesting dynamic of everyone understands that most of these kids don't want to be at this school. They are here to like get a jump start to try to make it back into Division I football and potentially the NFL. And the harsh realities of that, along with like the just intenseness of the head coach, is really on display as far as putting boots on the ground and getting these guys to the top of their game. They are going in 110%. You also get to see who I think is the star of the show, Brittany. Oh, I forgot her last name. She is the academic advisor to these students. And so she's the one who's like, tell them, hey, are you supposed to be in class right now? Did you miss class? Do you have, pencil and paper? And like, it's this whole dynamic of not just on the field, but off the field. I think it's really great. And I don't really have a whole lot of love for football, but I'm almost done with it. And it's not as much of a puff piece as you would think, a show like this that focuses on a single school 100% of the time. There's a funny moment in the 5th episode that I just got to where it's around the time where the offers start coming in for the students, and there's this one-on-one session with this recruiter, and so he's like, well, what do you want? And the guy's like, well, I want my number on the team. And the guy's like, that's pretty easy. What else? Is there anything else you want? And so the kid goes, well, there are cameras here. And the guy very immediately was like, well, we play by the NFL rules. We are not going to do anything out of the ordinary. It's going to be above the book, totally 100%, regardless of whether there are cameras. It's really
that's awesome.
That's one of the funny little moments of that. So that's Last Chance U, the letter U, on Netflix. There's 6-hour-long parts available now.
Got something we should be on the lookout for? You should email us, cordkillers@gmail.com. And now we take your dispatches from the front. Rodney in Raleigh, North Carolina says, quick question for Tom, since he's the OTA veteran. I don't know that I consider myself that, but thank you, Rodney. When you record shows using a Romeo or over-the-air solution, are you able to select closed captioning or audio description after recording a show, or can you tell the device to record the secondary audio channel? I'm wondering about cutting the cord, but I fear losing audio description for the visually impaired, as it is the lazy man's TV experience. I usually record shows like NCIS or Suits on USA. I may just be stuck with Time Warner Cable or dream of the old VCR. Yeah, I didn't know, even if I'm the OTA vet, so I had to go take a look. On my TiVo Romeo, you can definitely turn on closed captioning from recorded shows without having had it on before. It told me there were alternate audio channels if they were available, but when I tried to turn them on the Romeo, they wouldn't turn on. And there's some TiVo support articles that talk about needing to turn it on in advance of recording, so you may have to do that to get them. But generally, it works similar to other cable TV DVRs, and we'll have a couple links in the show notes for you.
Yeah, if I understood it correctly from the articles I read, the closed captioning almost certainly. If you're seeing video, embedded in the video is the information for closed captioning, but SAP is a separate channel that you would have to tell the DVR to, like, hey, also record this other thing.
Yeah, which you can set up.
Jason says, after listening to our podcast for the last 3 months, he's been trying to cut out AT&T Uverse television ever since the weekend of the Olympics. He finally did it. He's already a Netflix, Hulu, Showtime subscriber and hooked up digital antennas for all 3 TVs in his home. And will use a 4th-gen Apple TV in the main room where he watches TV. The other TVs, he has two third-gen Apple TVs connected, as he only watches the most TV in the main room. The main room basically says he's in and much happier than before. Thanks for the inspiration. Thank you for the support, Jason.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. He's using the Sling TV Orange. If you're curious who's subscribing, he is. Jason Nemechek said, with the Olympics starting, I've been watching via my Roku and the NBC Sports app. So have I, Jason. What do you think? Jason says, well, I think, quote, the streaming quality has been poor on my fast 150 megabits per second connection. I've heard rumors that some boxes, like the Apple TV, have better streaming quality through the NBC app. Has anyone done a comparison of this one app between the Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV? Well, I haven't done the Fire TV, but I have used the Apple TV and the Roku, and I saw no streaming quality difference between the two. I had dropouts on both, very rarely, where the app would just stop and then reload and start again. Apple TV handled those more gracefully. Roku just blanked out the screen and gave me a loading bar. Apple TV just kind of paused and then caught up and skipped to where it was. But for the most part, these have all streamed very well for me. So it may be one of those things where certain channels are more popular than others, and maybe I wasn't watching the popular channels, or maybe streaming in one area of the country was getting hammered while another area wasn't. I don't know.
Tom writes in as one of our bosses and asks us, hi, Tom and Brian, do you think that more streaming services will or should offer yearly subscriptions at a small discount in addition to the standard pay-per-month option? I think Netflix missed an opportunity to say, you want to keep the old monthly price? Fine, here's a $100 per year subscription. It would reduce the monthly temptation to evaluate whether it's keeping it each month. As we get closer to subscription fatigue, and with it, or as we get closer and with it taking so little time to cancel and renew, I think we'll see more people choosing their months for their months for each service. The yearly subscription model seems particularly strong for services with a few major hits like House of Cards or Game of Thrones. People who want to subscribe for just those services would be more inclined to pay for just for a few months and cancel, but if a discounted yearly rate is offered, might stick around browse the rest of the catalog. Amazon started with the yearly subscription model and only recently added the monthly option, but for me, their major hit is the 2-day shipping, which I'm happy to pay a yearly subscription for as opposed to month by month for just their video catalog. Dude, Tom, I think you hit the nail on the head. We just did that story about subscriptions slowing down for Netflix. It was partly blamed on the increase in price. I think this was a obvious move they could have made that would have kept a lot of people happy, would have kept them from canceling, and would have just locked people in that otherwise would just wash out of the program.
Yeah, and Amazon does it, right? I mean, they offer a monthly, but it took a while for them to do it for the people that they were missing in the other direction, but they've always been yearly. And I think this is brilliant. I think, besides the fact that you're named Tom, and obviously,
and obviously you're handsome, obviously you have a wonderful beard.
I think this is a really smart idea to offer. I mean, how perfect would it have been to say like, hey, your price per month is going up, but it will only go up like 30 cents if you pay for the year. I would have totally done that.
Yep, agreed.
Finally, Gregory J. Blagian says, I would reiterate that Comcast got me back as a corded user. Oh my gosh, he's a cord re-embracer?
It's fine. He's watching what he wants, when he wants, on whatever device he wants.
Got me back as a corded user when they offered a combined package of basic cable with Showtime or HBO, and it cost less than my internet alone was, at least for 12 months. Okay, so we've heard this before. Please just give us a TV subscription number we can report, and we'll actually make it worth your while. He says, I'm essentially paying for internet and getting Showtime and Stream Picks for free, and they get to tell their stockholders that they are not losing as many subscribers as some of their competitors. It is essentially semantics or outright lying. I would at least consider myself a cord trimmer and relate more to a cord cutter that is enjoying a few perks from his ISP. Now, the way he finishes this email made me think, and this goes back to what we were talking about with Hulu, with Apple TV, becoming the provider of the authentication pass. This is essentially what they're doing for Gregory.
Yeah,
they're just pay for your internet, and then we'll give you a thing that lets you log into other things.
Yeah, and I think we had called it the Fig Leaf cable provider, something that you never would watch over cable, but then you had a password and a login so that you could get into all the services. And maybe that's the way that they transition into it. Maybe they quietly write down a whole bunch of stuff on their end and take a less profit on the internet side and subsidize the cable programming just so that people can get that login.
Well, and where they are growing is in internet subscriptions. Internet subscribers keep going up and up and up. So if suddenly their cable TV enterprise, they realize we cannot stop the erosion. We're just not going to make money off of cable guides anymore, you guys. We just have to suck it up and admit that. If suddenly they're like, but what we can do is drive those profitable internet subscriptions by providing a free pass and saying, hey, if you sign up with us for internet, you'll get access to HBO, Showtime, USA, NBC, ABC. Like, suddenly that becomes the thing that could make the difference between which ISP you decide to get, should you have a choice.
Yep, absolutely. By the way, if you guys want to chime in, hit us up at cordkillers@gmail.com. We do read all of those emails. I do my best to respond to as many of them as we can. But definitely keep those ideas coming.
We're live on diamondclub.tv Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We will have a little disrupted schedule at the end of August. Europeans, you understand, but you Americans, it's going to be Labor Day. We're going to be traveling. I'm going to be out for 2 weeks. We'll let you know what's going on, but we will be back here on diamondclub.tv next Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. See you then.
Hey guys, Tom and Brian here. We just wanted to say thank you to all of our $5 patrons who keep us loud, live, and independent. You guys make Cordkillers the production that it is.
Your name appears in the video credits and appears in our hearts And if you'd like to become one of them or see who they are, you can go to patreon.com/Cordkillers.
You'll need to do more than just go there, though. You'll have to sign up and, pledge an amount. But
Unless you just want to see who they are.
Well, I mean, you could gawk. That's a little creepy, isn't it?
If you want to be a gawker,
Let's go.
it's up to you.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.